Hi, I'm Dr. Daphne Mobley, and this is another episode of Moments with Molly. Today we'll be talking about therapy dogs and the benefits that they offer to people. But first, before I introduce my wonderful guest, Molly did sign the contract, and she'll be back starring in Moments with Molly. But today she couldn't come to this facility, this location, because they don't allow dogs. So I would love to introduce you to my former neighbor, Barbara. Barbara, thank you so much for agreeing to talk about your work and therapy dogs in general. I'm so appreciative of that.
Oh, it's my absolute pleasure.
Yes. Now, I knew Barbara and the work that she did with her dog, Skylar, and I thought it would be a good opportunity to share that with everybody because there's some powerful stories that I think and examples that she will share. But what I'd first like to do is just if you could just tell people a little bit about what therapy dogs do.
Definitely. Okay, well, I guess it would be real helpful for me to explain how I came into doing this.
Okay.
My mother was in a nursing home many years ago, and when I visited her, I saw a group of people coming in with their dogs. And my mother, who really hated dogs, I have to underline that.
Yes.
They asked for permission if my mother would like to pet the dog.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, sure. And all of a sudden, my mother, who sadly had Alzheimer's and wasn't very responsive, the minute she touched the dog, a smile came on her face.
That's incredible. That's incredible. Because my mother has dementia, Alzheimer's, and my dog Molly will jump on her bed and lick her, and there's just like no reaction. I mean, she's not like screaming at the top of her lungs. She's actually enjoying it and going with it.
They are amazing. So I said to my husband, this is what I want to do. So it took a while, about 7 years to be exact. And he saw an episode on TV about therapy dogs. And the breed was Labradoodles, that they were bred to be therapy dogs because they have the intelligence of the poodle and the love of the labs.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Perfect combination. So I got my Labradoodle.
Oh,
we went to Virginia to pick her up.
Okay.
And it was love at first sight.
Wow. And yours was the first Labradoodle
Yes.
I ever saw, actually.
Yeah, no one knew because they came from Australia, and then there were only 3 breeders in the United States.
Okay.
And thanks to my wonderful, wonderful husband, me finally getting my dog and a Labradoodle.
Wow.
And I used to walk her in the neighborhood, and people would stop their cars and say, what kind of dog is that? So then my dream was to have a therapy dog and to go around and help people with my dog.
Mm-hmm. Which says something about you also as a person wanting to give and help others.
Yeah, well, thank you for that. And I signed her up right away, obedience training, and then to pass the test of a therapy dog.
Yes.
So I had to go for training as well. She did great until she saw a snack up on the table in back of the person that was testing her.
Uh-huh.
So she made a beehive for the snack. That was the end. She was too young.
I love it.
Disappointed, but I loved her in spite of it. Fast forward to when she was 2, she finally was certified.
Okay.
And
awesome.
The first place I went to was to a home for young autistic men.
Wow.
And I went, it was just myself with my wonderful, wonderful Skylar. We went in there, and there were all degrees of young men with autism.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll never forget this. There were 2 in particular. One, he also had water on his brain.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't call Skylar Skylar. He always called her Molly, which is funny.
Okay,
And
Marley.
then there was another young man who wanted to go to Skylar, but whose mother was afraid of dogs and said they have dander and you'll have an allergy, don't go near dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Well, therapy dogs, they just know instinctively what to do. So the young man that had the water on his brain and autism, he wouldn't go over to Skylar unless Skylar would respond to the name Molly. Well, lo and behold, Skylar went right over to him.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
And he would let him pet him and do everything. The young man who wanted to go to Skylar but whose mother made him afraid of dogs, it took 6 months
Okay.
But after 6 months, Skylar knew, just lie down. Do not stand up by this young man, just lie down.
Mm-hmm.
And little by little, this young man came over. Skylar would not budge. And one day, this young boy came over, and I said, it's okay, I'm right here. Let me bring you over, and I'll show you how to pet Skylar. Petted Skylar. They fell in love with them.
Oh my God.
He would play ball with him, and the boy, like, you know, dogs, they catch a ball and it gets a little bit wet from their saliva. I wiped it off. Loved each other.
They know something, and they're so special in how they are, what they sense with people. The same story with Molly at the nursing home. A woman never ever, she was definitely afraid of dogs. She saw the other residents in the nursing home come over and pet Molly. And Molly wasn't certified, but I trained her to do certain things. I said, just stay. And so Molly stayed. The woman, little by little, she put her arm like this, touch her, and then go wheel herself away. Do a little more next time, and it became, now it's just nothing with her doing that. And therapy dogs, you know, they just do so much. And it shows also what they found with research is that they do decrease the stress levels in people.
Absolutely.
And you can even see that with the work they do, whether it's visiting children in hospitals or people. I
She
think it's
also
phenomenal.
went to, there's, I forget the name of the facility, but it was up in Rockland County, and it was for children who have multiple problems.
Mm-hmm.
So I was with a wonderful group, and they're still in existence, and they've grown. It's called Hudson Valley Pause for a Cause.
Mm-hmm.
We started out in Rockland County. We're now in Westchester. We're in Connecticut. Wherever we're needed, we go with our dogs. Mm-hmm. They are the most amazing dogs. Very, very sadly, my Skylar is no longer with us. And she gave me, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
She gave me a life that I always wanted.
Yes.
So to be able to go with the most incredible creatures on this planet, our dogs. I can't even call her a dog.
Mm-hmm.
What they give. And it wasn't that I taught her. Mm-hmm. It's innate in them. They just want to give you unconditional love. I took her, we also did work at West Point with our returning warriors.
And that's when I remember when I see you walking in the morning, you say, oh, we're getting ready to go up to West Point, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And there was one warrior in particular who he wouldn't talk to any of us. He was really very traumatized. And we would sit out on a porch where there was their hospital that they would stay in. Mm-hmm. And they being the warriors coming back from the war. And our dogs were wonderful. They knew who they could go to and who they couldn't go to. And one day, this is after several months, and I'm sitting on the porch, and it was just Skylar and myself, and the same warrior came walking by. And he looked at Skylar, and I just said to him, hello, would you like to say hi to Skylar? He didn't answer me. Skylar stayed perfectly still. The warrior came over, and he just put out his hand, and Skylar let him pet him, and then he went down, and he gave Skylar a hug. And all of a sudden you saw life coming back into this warrior's eyes. So if anyone, I really feel sad for people that don't get what a dog brings into your life. To me, going around, doing this work with her, seeing the change, and there's so many stories, but I'm trying to give the most powerful ones. I was starting to say about this place in New City that we went to. There was a boy that would never speak. He was 7 years old. He never said one word to anybody. I'm there with Skylar. Never. I'm there with Skylar. And I said to the boy, I said, oh, this is Skylar. Would you like to meet Skylar? Skylar went over to him. Skylar licked his hand and sat down. And I said, his name is Skylar. And the boy said, hello.
Oh my
and then the staff came over to me and they said, I don't think you're aware of what just happened here. A true miracle happened. He's never said a word. And because of Skylar. So how do you explain that? How do you explain that?
There is no explanation. As a matter of fact, there are dogs, therapy dogs were used in psychiatrist's office. And I read an article about a child who never spoke. And when the doctor gave the command, the dog would come over, and she said, you have to speak if you want the dog to come closer. And that evolved into that child beginning to speak. So these fantastic stories, like you say, how can you describe and put into words the significance of what they mean in our lives in total?
Yeah. They bring so much. They bring so much to you. They're absolutely, they do say you spell dog backwards, and what does it say? And they are the most incredible help for us.
Yes.
And also the aging population.
Yes.
They give you a purpose to get up in the morning.
That's right.
There's someone to take care of, and they give you the most unbelievable, unconditional love. And they know that they're working because the dogs have to be trained to be therapy dogs. They go through extensive training. And when you're dealing with elderly, they know they can't use their paws because elderly skin gets thin and they could hurt them. So they instinctively, they know what they can do. They just sense it. And it's just so incredible because before we would let our dogs go in, let's say to the nursing homes or wherever they're going, we have them all get outside and they're all playing with each other. The minute we say, okay guys, we're going in, it's like they know, okay, we're going to do our job.
It's work, and it's time to be serious. You know, the people who don't know the intelligence that dogs have and that are still kind of like that old school, old-fashioned mentality without having the opportunity to have the experience with dogs themselves. Once you have one experience, you just give them a try with something, it's just amazing what they can bring to so many people, you know. And I am just so thankful today to have had this opportunity to hear these wonderful stories. And this episode is dedicated to Skylar and the work that Skylar did. So I'd like to let you know that. And with that, I'd like to say thank you so much, Barbara. And a bow wow ciao to everybody.